Today I wanted to talk about why I got into taxation and how I started my own online accounting business. So I went to university and I studied accounting and finance in London. I wasn't sure what degree to choose, and I ended up going with accounting and finance because, realistically, I liked money. I knew I wanted to do something with it, but I didn't know anything. I was leaning towards economics. I actually went to do an interview with one of the professors, and I told him I wanted to do economics, and he was like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I had no idea. I told him something like, I want to work in an office. He was like, what work do you want to do in an office? And I had no idea what jobs you could get. So he basically told me to do accounting and finance because apparently it's easier than economics. So he was like, he just gave me something a bit more practical, and I'm really glad he did, and that I didn't do just regular economics, because they would have taught me a lot of history of economics and other stuff that I don't really need at the moment. And what happened is I enrolled in the accounting and finance again, completely randomly, just guided by this guy who told me to do accounting and finance instead of economics, just because I liked money and I wanted some money. I had no idea how anything worked at the time. So I just got into it. It was a 3-year degree, and the second year in, I kind of realized that there was this big opportunity to make money online, and I saw these people that were starting to make money with their online business, and I was like, I want to get in on this. So I looked up like what you could be doing online, and the only 3 options really were e-com, fitness coaching, SMMA, marketing agency, and I guess you could add like Forex or crypto, because at the time it was booming quite hard. And I was doing accounting and finance, so I was like, damn, this degree is useless, right? So while still in uni, I just tried and, learn new skills, and I started a social media marketing agency. I did Facebook ads for hot tub retailers at the time. Unbelievable. And I just worked at it for just under a year. I did the whole funnel, the whole website, and I didn't make a single penny off it. In hindsight, that was my mistake. I did like 60 outreaches in 6 months. So you may be saying, yeah, of course, no shit. But, at the time I was like, I've got other stuff to do. But obviously marketing, and cold calling and whatever was the main priority. Anyways, didn't make any money from that. So while I was like running this thing, my mum was like imploring me to get a job and to apply to jobs. And I really didn't want to do this. I wanted to, make money with my marketing agency, with my online business, even though like 6 months in, I wasn't making any money, but I really wanted to make this money online. But, I listened to my mum. She was like, please apply to a job. So I applied to two jobs, one at Citibank for an investment banker, and the second one at EY in taxation, just completely randomly. I didn't even end up finishing the application for Citibank because I got timed out. So I was like typing these answers, because they tell you to give all these detailed answers in the application, because it's super competitive, and give a detailed answer and like what you read in the Financial Times last week. So I was doing it, and it took me more than 30 minutes on a single page, and I got timed out, and it said like, I'm sorry, like you're taking too long, the application has been cancelled. I was like, shit. So then the only other job was this EY thing. So I went through the procedure. These companies have super long processes for hiring, like 7 different stages. It's ridiculous. But, I applied for this job. I was going through the steps. I was going through the processes, and I got this job, and I couldn't believe it. EY, like one of the big 4 accounting firms. And for me, it was nothing special. I was talking to people in uni, and they would have sold their kidney for a job at EY. And I didn't understand, because I was like, I just applied to this firm and I just got the job. And these people had applied to literally like 70, 80, 100 internships and job roles, and they just didn't get accepted into any of them. So for these, I just fell into a job at EY. It seemed like, a pot of gold, but I didn't see it that way, and I was actually very close to rejecting it. So we got to a month before graduation, and I was like undecided. I was like, what do I do? Do I take this job or do I not? Well, I had accepted it in December because they gave him a deadline, but I wasn't going to start until September. So I accepted this job, and then I sat down with my mum, and she was like very harsh with me. Like, here's 20-year-old me with this marketing agency that hasn't even made a single penny in like a year of trading, right? She's like, I can't see you and watch you waste your life. Just get this job. And I crumbled, you know. At the time I was a bit weak, but who knows, maybe in hindsight that was the best decision. So I quit the job, I turned off the website, and I just got into this job. And September I started working at EY against my will. And yeah, I remember the first few months, it was awful, it was dreadful. I was doing and I was working the job that I hated, and the life that I hated, you know, the rat race and being in the tube in the morning at 8 a.m. when it's packed in London, and if, you know, you're from London and you take the tube in the morning, you know how awful it is. And I hated it, I just hated it. So I remember the first few months I was so sad. My dad came to see me from Italy. He said, wow, you're so sad. Like I didn't even realize this, but it really took a toll on me. But I didn't let it discourage me. And I'd say around Feb time, Feb time, I was like, okay, this desire to make money online is still there. So what do? We go again. But now, it wasn't anymore the online, you know, SMMA that, you know, Iman Gadji was pushing. Now it was like Alex Hormozi is the main face, and he's like, just sell what you know. You just need to sell something to someone, and then you've got a business. So I was like, what can I sell that I know of? And here I'm sitting thinking, I studied accounting and finance at one of the best universities in the world. I'm working at one of the best companies in the world in taxation. I think it would be fair to say that someone would be interested in my accounting expertise. So that's what I did. I reached out to all my contact lists and I was like, hey, I'm doing this. Do you know anyone who may be interested? And I was doing it for free. And that's how I got my first clients back in March. I don't know if I should say, because I was still working at EY. So please don't sue me if you're watching this. So I was doing their accounts because like it's stuff that I had studied. I'd studied at school, I'd studied at the job, but I'd never done it in practice. Like I'd never filed an actual tax return in the UK. I'd never done that. Even though I studied for like years and I had the job, they were teaching us the theory. They weren't teaching us the practice, like how to go on HMRC's website and input all the data. So I did that, I learned that. And then I was like, okay, now we need to make more money. Now we need to replace this job. How do we do it? I remember one of my clients, my biggest client, in fact, I've ever had was an electrical company. And when I reached out to him, he was like, yeah, this is interesting. He was my first paying client, £199 a month. Still remember, almost a year ago now, just over. And I came in thinking I was going to do the accounting, and then I realized he already had bloody accountants. I was like, what am I here for? So I just tried to help him with anything I could. You know, like the cash flow forecasts, like he had a lot of overdue payments and he was stressing about cash flow. I was like, hey, there's no need to work more. We just need to go and collect the payments that we made sales for, but that we haven't collected the cash. So I built up this spreadsheet for him saying like, this is the money that they owe you. This is the client that owes you the money. This is, you know, the invoice number. This is the period of work that's been done for, you know, for this invoice. I just made everything more clear. So I almost worked like as an ops manager, like as a CFO. It's a fractionalized CFO for him. And I was just taking anyone who would, you know, give me some money. That's how it started. And then obviously the dream of the online entrepreneur is to travel the world, you know, with a backpack and work from your laptop from anywhere in the world. But no, so that's what I wanted to do. I was like moving to Thailand. A lot of people were moving to Thailand. You know, at the time you had like Jack Hopkins pushing Koh Samui, or a few other people, a few other creators in Thailand. I was like, this seems like the right place to be. It sounded like the best place to start your online business. You know, life is very cheap. I was going to live on my own. I wasn't going to have distractions. I was out of my comfort zone. It was like the best place to grow. But obviously I wasn't making a lot of money. So with £600 recurring revenue, I decided to leave. I decided to quit my job and move to Thailand. And that's when I had the idea of setting up people in Thailand, because I looked up the Thai regulation and I saw this very interesting remittance basis system. So most countries, they tax you on everything you make, right? If you're from the UK, Australia, Italy, most countries just tax you on everything you make, regardless of where it's earned or where it's brought into. Whereas Thailand only taxes you on the money that you bring inside of Thailand. So I was like thinking, what's the best way to set up in Thailand? And I found the way, obviously, with the US LLC, with a Thai tax residency, with limiting remittance as much as possible. And I set up the company for myself. And then I got to Thailand and I realized there's other online entrepreneurs. There's other people that will be able to benefit from this structure. Why don't I just sell this to other people? And bear in mind, this change didn't happen until literally Jan this year, because that was the idea, but I didn't find people to sell this thing to initially. Again, initially it's you know, you beg, borrow, steal, you just take money from whoever gives it to you. I was tempted to go down the electrical company's route, because that's the company I was providing the most value to. But then it kind of just happened. I remember I was coming here, I was here in Koh Samui, and I was just stopping everyone with a laptop, going to coffee shops and co-working spaces, just stopping everyone with a laptop. That was like my lead gen strategy. And again, as long as I stayed in Koh Samui, it wasn't really great. And then I went to Bangkok end of Jan, and then it picked up big time. And that's when I was like, this is what I'm selling. Because if you think about it, with UK companies, I knew the law, that's where I started, that's where I studied, so I knew how to save someone 30 quid here and 50 quid there and say, hey, you can claim mileage and you can use you can use a room as your home office, you can claim travel expenses, you can go on a business trip if you can prove it's actually business, and I knew all this stuff. But I was able to save £50 here, £30 there, £200 there. But then I was like, with this new setup, what if we just got people's taxes down from 50 grand to 0? That's a lot more valuable and I can charge a lot more. So that's kind of the path that we've gone through, and why I got into taxation. It just started, I feel like I almost fell into this business. I feel like I was very lucky. I read a lot, I learned a lot of business, sales and stuff. So those are definitely skills that you do need to have when you are starting any kind of business. But I feel I managed to reinvent this skill that for a lot of people, is very boring, such as accounting, and create a high ticket offer from it. And being able to live anywhere in the world. Right now we're here in Koh Samui, Thailand. I hope you can see it. And yeah, I managed to cut myself a space in this online game with my own offer and put my own spin on accounting. And now people trust me. People want to work with me because I'm not old. I'm the age of these online entrepreneurs. These people who make tens of thousands of dollars every single month. I don't want to talk with an accountant who's 65 that doesn't take them seriously. I want to talk with someone their age. There was a gap. I ended up filling it, and it's a market that's just growing. No one in their 20s wants to work their job. Probably if you are 20 and you have a job, you probably want to leave it. Everyone wants to work online, so the market is growing, and I'm here to capture as much of it as possible. If you have any questions, drop me a DM. I'll leave my Instagram in the description. And if you're an online entrepreneur making over 5 figures a month and you want your taxes optimized, you want a consultation call, just schedule a call using the link below. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.